My congressional source tonight is one of those members. New York Democrat Congressman Tom Suozzi is here. And thank you, sir, for being here, because your co-sponsor, Republican Brian Fitzpatrick, was here on the source with us last night saying he wants to stop this. How would your bill stop the president and the Justice Department from doing what they're trying to do here?
It's very simple language. It's very clear. It says that you can't spend money for this weaponization fund to give money to people in the way that you want to do it. It's a very simple one-paragraph bill, and it just says you can't do this. The bottom line is it's the job of the United States Congress to appropriate funds. There's a reason we have checks and balances in government. It's because sometimes presidents or their administrations, sometimes Congress, sometimes the judiciary, sometimes they do things that are really dumb. And when they do things that are just totally out of touch and wrong, I think you said Mitch McConnell said it was either really stupid or morally wrong. Take your pick. When that happens, you need the other branches of government to put a check on that to stop it from happening. And so this is the first bipartisan effort between Brian Fitzpatrick and myself to try and stop something that is either stupid or morally wrong. Take your pick, as Mitch McConnell said. But it's really upsetting that we see what's happening right now in the administration is so out of touch with what people are going through right now. Everybody's freaking out about the cost of living and about their gas prices and their grocery prices and the cost of everything. And they're trying to give $1.8 billion to people on January 6th that beat up cops. It really makes your blood boil.
You're a Democrat. You often appear on the show with Brian Fitzpatrick, obviously working together and trying to do stuff on a bipartisan basis. But are you surprised by just how critical Republicans have been of the administration over this? I mean, we have not seen anything like this, actually, this term.
I don't want to say I'm surprised. I believe in our country and I believe in our system of government. And people are facing elections coming up in November, and they're starting to think about that. And they're doing their polls and they're talking to their constituents and they're saying, hey, the people are really concerned about this, the cost of living, the things I was talking about just a second ago. And the administration is focusing on stuff that the people don't like. So we can't support this any longer because it's bad for us politically. And that's how it's supposed to work, because you want people to do things that are right because it's the right thing to do. But you can't always count on people doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. That's why we have a democracy where you have to be beholden to the people. And the people don't want you giving money to people that attacked the Capitol and beat up cops on January 6th. They don't want you spending $1.8 billion on this anti-weaponization fund. They don't want you spending $1 billion on a ballroom. They want you to focus on how are you going to make my life better to deal with my gas prices and my grocery prices, the fact that my kids can't buy a house. They want you to focus on the things that affect their lives. And these are abuses. And I'm hopeful when I see so many Republican senators call this out, when I see colleagues like mine, like Brian Fitzpatrick, and I hope other Republican members of the House come out and say, you know, Mr. President, this is just wrong.
Why do you think they won't rule it out for the people who beat up cops that day? I mean, they're on video doing so. It's not like this is some kind of mystery to solve. You can watch the people who got convicted beating the cops up that day.
You know, this is the thing, you know, I always try to be bipartisan, as you pointed out. I always try to look for ways that we can work together and not get outraged by every single thing that happens. But when the president pardoned the people for January 6th, I looked at individual cases. There was one guy, Daniel Rodriguez, they were beating up a cop on the ground, and people were saying, kill him, kill him. And this guy, Daniel Rodriguez, went up and tased the police officer in the neck. The police officer had a heart attack and now has brain damage. He then went on social media and said, I tased the expletive out of this cop, and I got away with it. And then he had to go through a prosecution. He pled guilty, was sentenced to 12 years. And the president pardoned this guy. And that's just one of like 1,500 cases. And I just get so upset when I hear the hypocrisy of saying, you know, back the blue and we're for the cops and we should back the cops and we should back the blue. But how could you pardon somebody who did something so blatantly wrong? And that's just one of, you know, dozens and dozens, hundreds of instances. So I think that much the way I'm feeling, a lot of Americans are feeling, but a lot of our elected officials, our senators and members of Congress are feeling, and they're finally standing up. And we've got to stop this from happening. It's our country. It's our country's at stake. And we can't let people just do what they want to do on a whim because they think it's good for them to build their team and make their base stronger. They've got to call out bad behavior. And it's not only the January 6th behavior that's the bad behavior, it's the creation of these funds or the spending of things without proper authorization and rewarding people that committed the bad behavior on January 6th. That's just wrong. And I think that people are going to stand up to it. I know the public's going to stand up to it, and I think the elected officials are starting to stand up to it.
Congressman Tom Suozzi, we will see if the elected officials do here. Thank you for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it.